Sangye chodang soki chodnama chanchu baru dagni kyapsu chi dagi chunyen gibe sonam ki jola penjir sangye drupasho Sangye chodang soki chodang chanchu bardu dagni kyapsu chi dagi chunyen gibe zonangi jola penjir sangye drupasho sangye chodang soki chodang chanchu bardu dagni kyapsu chi dagi chunyen gibe sonam ki drola penjir sangye druparsho. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Let me chant a few Heart Sutra mantras again. Tayata gate gate para gate para samgate bodhiso. 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 Sorry. Yeah, so last time Lama Zopa Rinpoche was here in Santa Fe. He told this story where he was giving teachings, and at the end of the teachings, this lady came up to him and said, Rinpoche, that was amazing teaching and everything, but I don't understand what the significance is of Tibetan rice. Like, why were you talking about Tibetan rice all the time? And he didn't understand, Then he realized he was talking about dependent arising, and she thought he was saying to Tibetan rice. So the whole time she thought Rinpoche was talking about Tibetan rice. Yeah, so maybe we can chat about Tibetan rice. Tibetan rising this afternoon a bit. I guess first, maybe how was the meditation at the end before a break? Any challenges, um, insights? Yeah, Anna.
Maybe a bit uncomfortable, really, finding that you're not really there, having, so many things you cling on to and all these problems and issues and aims and goals and worries and what for? There's no me to worry. It does matter, but it takes the sting out of a lot of and excitement, I suppose, out of a lot of stuff. Takes the heaviness out of this perception we have.
Yeah, maybe we also got a glimpse of like how it's a gradual thing, or seeing how it's like a layered process. Maybe doing that practice as well kind of shows like it's kind of a layered journey, or it's a gradual. Like we might have a gist, but just kind of levels to that kind of understanding or insight. Maybe
It
our yeah.
the practice on emptiness has helped me in the past massively. With things I perceive as massive issues. I mean, massively it has helped me. Um, but yeah, so it is layered, I suppose.
Yeah, Lou was saying when he finds visualization practices like, oh, you heard? Did you hear that? No. It's the gesture of the day. Um, but yeah, thanks for it. It's better than not being able to hear me. So yeah, Lou was saying he finds these kind of visualization practices like this can kind of come and go. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's dark, not there. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that pairing of getting the intellectual understanding and then kind of a vividness of meditation practice and how those two can kind of come together. Yeah, and I say one thing. I took a Mahamudra class with young Rinpoche some years ago, and Mahamudra is a meditation track or meditation um, path that uses the mind or awareness itself as the object of calm abiding, and also the object of investigation or insight. Yeah, you're saying the search for self practice is a bit challenging in daily life because it does kind of require a bit of subtlety of awareness to really kind of have that kind of powerful impact. And he says sometimes it's suitable in a retreat where we're getting a lot of we're in a very contained environment and doing a lot of practice. That in retreat, that method can be quite powerful. He said when we're in daily life, utilizing the kind of spaciousness of mind, like meditations where we're starting to develop a spacious kind of quality of awareness, and can be an effective way of meditating on emptiness. And like Kodo was mentioning earlier, the reality of subtle impermanence, that everything is changing moment to moment. It's not quite emptiness in the Madhyamaka Prasangika view, but it's very close. Very close, like a close relative, maybe. Because it does help that momentary changing, noticing the momentary changing of mind and our experience and our bodies, everything. It also helps release that kind of fixation and grasping. Thoughts come up and rise, and they fall back into awareness. And so like metaphors of the mind being like a sky, which is very nice actually in New Mexico. It's very apparent here. Very big skies. Same in Utah as well. Very big sky. It's kind of pointing to that experience, so it's not quite. It's a conceptual metaphor that we can utilize in daily life that is similar to the emptiness experience, or the nature of reality. And I think of like with emptiness, it's like we're constantly trying to grab that air, kind of like hold on to air, like really tight. And we don't realize that we're just trying to grasp air and there's actually nothing there. So it's kind of helping us kind of relax. So I find the Mahmudra path, or approach to meditation, where we use that awareness, starts to develop that kind of clarity and spaciousness of awareness, and allowing things to kind of rise and fall without manipulating them, trying to change them, judge them. Can help kind of give us a taste of that, because again, it's like doing the opposite of our daily life, of being in our heads, doing stuff, actively stuff, choosing this and that, and having accomplished this and avoid that, and so forth. It's just like allowing whatever is there to be as it is, and starting to develop that insight of the fluidity and space-like nature of things. So, dependent, we talk about dependent arising. We've kind of already been talking about it to some degree. Well, a couple ways of looking at dependent arising. I do like Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese master, his approach to dependent arising is that the term interbeing. It's different than the Madhyamaka way. I just felt like mentioning it as just one way of looking at interdependence. In that he's saying that everything is kind of radically dependent and connected to each other. So, like in the flower, like the whole universe is in the flower, like the sun, water, the soil, and all that soil is dependent on prior soil and prior elements of the sun, and like this kind of infinite process of interconnection and co-arising. In us, we have that same. We can look. I have the sun inside me, and the whole world. And say, there's the interconnectedness. There's a way of, like to say, interbeing. We're all kind of intimately connected through time and space. Like the causality of everything, like all the different causes and conditions that brought this building to the place we can take it in infinite directions. Yeah, and the Madhyamaka view is this process of basis and label, so that the label is placed on a base of the label, and it's merely that it's merely labeled, and outside of the label, there is no existence. So, and when we learn like language, like when we have like we can use the letter D on the screen. Like when we're taught something, we're like taught that's D. That shape is D. Versus that shape is called D. There's a real difference. When we call it that's D, it's like we're giving power to that. We're giving an extra power to that phenomena. We're giving an extra power to that D. That the D is existing from its own. It is D. And that D has no dependent on my calling it D. It's D. Always has been D, always will be D. So in a way, we're like sending our projection out and giving power to and externalizing our mind, our power. And so we see everything like that. This is that. This is a this. This is a that. And that kind of perceptual trick is the problem that we're not realizing that is what we call that. We just call it that. And beyond the label of that, that phenomena is not there. Yeah. So you can like this is called a tree, this is called D, this is called mind. There's a kind of already like a pacifying kind of quality to it. And it kind of starts to take some of the charge out. Like Anna was saying, it kind of takes some of the charge out of our experience. And it's kind of funny if you do. Mamzo Brahmachay will say, using the merely labeled term, like this is merely labeled. I'm sitting on the merely labeled. The merely labeled I is merely labeled sitting on the merely labeled floor. The merely labeled sun. The merely labeled doing what is known as talking. You know, it's kind of funny actually. It's like, you know, I'm merely labeled driving. Merely what's called driving to what is called a road, to what is called work, to what is, you know, getting what is called a paycheck, using the paycheck, which is, you know, to buy what is called, you know, um, yeah, it's kind of disoriented. It's like disorienting, like um, and funny. Um, and we kind of don't know how to, you know, wrap our heads. But that's like how everything actually is. Like everything is merely labeled this and that. And I feel like there's always something that comes up like, well, no, that's real. Like that's actually something. That's also. um, Yeah, I'm getting what is merely called, like, merely labeled angry, merely labeled I. But again, it's like I'm getting this, like, no, the merely labeled I is getting merely labeled angry. It's merely, yeah. But at the same time, it's not that we're just making it up. I mean, we are all it's collectively making it up, but it's not like it's just my own imagination or something like that. There is a kind of cause and effect. I can't just, you know, turn this building into marshmallow or something. Like there is a causal matrix we're in, you know, that kind of cause and effect. Um, and so, yeah, so one of the qualities that is kind of necessary if something inherently exists is that it's permanent. It's not dependent on causes and conditions. It exists by itself. Um, yeah, and like if the flower inherently existed, the flower would not depend on water, earth, sky, heat, a seed. You know, seed, earth, water, all these things come together um, in a certain way and then start to kind of create this phenomena. But if there is some sort of flowerness somewhere in the flower, like when would the flowerness actually begin to occur? Like, is it when it's a sprout? You know, when's the moment from when it goes from a seed to a sprout to like, okay, now it's a flower? And if it did, like, when was a flower essence arrive? Like, when did it arrive, and where did it come from? So if there was like a moment where there was no flowerness because it was a sprout or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's a flower and it has flowerness. Making sense? Yeah. Yeah. So the flowerness would have to kind of exist somewhere independent of the stem and the petals and the moisture and so forth. There have to be some flower there. And because there isn't, that allows the dependent arising, the causes and conditions, the relationship to intervene, to occur. So life happens because there is no obstruction to it. There is no static um, frozen separate thing there. So they say karmic cause and effect and emptiness actually are complementary, they're not a contradiction. I guess things are radically dependent on causes and conditions, radically dependent on each other. Um, there is no fixed, separate, independent self essence. So there's everything arises from causes and conditions. Nothing rises at random. Any thoughts? Anything bubbling up? Questions we can take in any direction, really. Yeah, I'll just read a quote from Yangtze Rinpoche saying what we've been talking about. So, according to the Prasangika Madhyamaka school, if phenomena were inherently existent, one would not be able to apply causality to things and events. Because phenomena are dependent upon causes and conditions, because phenomena are dependent arisings, for that reason they're empty of inherent existence. Because they lack existence from their own side, dependent arising applies. Because phenomena are empty of inherent existence, the 12 links of dependent origination can function. And according to the system, things do not exist inherently, but that which is not inherently existent cannot necessarily be non-existent. An example of something that is not inherently existent and does exist is a vase, or vase, or a flower. An example of something that is not inherently existent and does not exist are horns of a rabbit. Yeah, so again, it's kind of getting the relative reality accurate is important. And through that, we can gaze into the ultimate. Yeah, so that helps us not fall into a nihilism with emptiness, because the world's not the problem; it's just our perception of it. It's causing problems. And I like that quote. It was used for the website. The William Blake snippet. I think it's a snippet from his poem. But to see heaven in a wildflower and eternity in an hour. Yeah, the conventional is that kind of gateway. The relative is the flower is the gateway to the emptiness of flower. Or time is the kind of, we can do the emptiness of time, meditate on the concepts of time, how past, present, future are dependent on each other. Like the past is just a concept independent on the future and the present. Like the past, it's like up and down. Like there's no up without down. There's no past without future. The past actually doesn't exist because it's something that's not in the present. It's something that's not existing at present. So the past actually never existed. And the future There's something that doesn't exist in the present that's to come that also never exists. Because once it's the present, it's not the future anymore. I mean, once it's the, yeah, once it's the future, but yeah, it's not the future anymore, it's the present. Then also the present, when we look for the present, we can't actually find it because the present's already gone as well. It's also just a concept. Um, yeah, and emptiness can be this dependent arising also is helpful in the basis of like self and other is also conceptual. And I was taking a class in Europa, and two Buddhist teachers were having a really funny. It was almost a skit. They were doing a Madhyamaka debate where one was like, "I'm me," and the other one was like, "No, I'm me." And he's like, "No, you're you. I'm me." And he's like, "No, I'm me, and you're you." Um, and again, that me and you thing, like it defines like you're you, like you're what I call you, or whatever. Instead, like there's like you can't. It's already even put in language, so that, like because we kind of define in this concrete way. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe should we meditate? Do a meditation. So maybe here we can bring up some object, a flower or some sort of phenomena. And maybe just contemplate this process of how we label onto the base. The eye sees the shape and color. And based on that, we give it a name. And just maybe notice the difference in what's kind of coming up in you as you contemplate and become aware of how you're placing that or projecting that label onto a flower or whatever object or person. And you can see that the label is valid in a relative sense. But the label is not the essence of the thing. The true existence of the flower, whatever object, is its lack of flowerness. So it validly functions and is labeled a flower or whatever phenomena. But its true face or its true mode of existence is this kind of ineffable reality of emptiness. And then we could look at body, its validly labeled body. its true final mode of existence is not body. There's no fixed, findable body beyond the label body. And yet the label body is valid conventionally, relatively. And the same with mind. Mind is a valid label. But the mind is empty of the label mind. The true mode of existence of mind is its lack of mindness. And yet the label mind is okay. It's valid. It's a label. And maybe lastly, think of someone who is other. And the label other is valid. That there is no true other essence in the other. Person doesn't have otherness in them. The other is just our label, our projection mind. And so again, the label other is okay, but it's not truly who they are. Okay. We can sort of come out of our meditation. How are people doing? Mita, few-minute break. Yeah, maybe 5 minutes. Or you can just come back maybe at 3. Or
While I was doing that meditation, just off in my mind, there was something that Dalai Lama said, that there were 3 kinds of dependent arising. Causal dependent arising, causes and conditions. But mutual dependent, he called it mutual dependent arising, where they're mutually dependent upon each other, not for them to arise. Up depends on down, left depends on right, and stuff like that.
What's the third?
The third one is definition by terms and concept.
Yeah, so Lou just shared a teaching from the Dalai Lama telling us on the 3 types of dependent arising. We've been talking about this. So there's the causal dependent arising. Things arise from causes and conditions. And then the mutual dependent arising, where left is dependent on right, good is dependent on bad, up and down, short and tall. Like there is no short without tall. Yeah. There's no here without there. So mutual dependent arising, second. And the third is the labeling, the definition and concept dependent arising by definition, and labeling on the base. Yeah, I guess. And then another question is like when when are relative labels not valid? You know, when I label something bad or label somebody an enemy, maybe valid, maybe. Yeah. Or maybe, yeah, label something in an exaggerated way. This person is this way, or this is very, I need this, or.
Well, even if what you're labeling bad is wrong, you're labeling it in reference to what you think good is. So it doesn't matter if it's valid for you. In the conventional reality, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Say more. Yeah.
It works in conventional reality.
The labeling of bad.
I mean that thing is empty of existence, but it's still in conventional reality. It still has purpose. It still has a function.
Yeah.
And it's still true on a conventional level.
Yeah.
It's not ultimately true, but it's conventionally true.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is something conventionally bad. Maybe, yeah, maybe so, right? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
you said bad and good because those are all judgment calls. It's not like
right,
up and down. That's just a matter of language with what you call it and what you call down.
Yeah, yeah, maybe bad's tricky, simplistic, but Like the judgments and the qualities are okay. Like, yeah, qualities can exist. Like this has a certain quality and it has a certain quality, but they're not ultimate qualities. But they are relative qualities. There's a certain kind of quality to the flower that conventionally has. And the qualities aren't a problem necessarily. Anna, do you have your hand up?
I was just listening to my friend Louis there, um, and at the beginning of that meditation, I I was I nearly burst into laughter because you can you can put a view of your type on anything, you know, not the extreme like murder is good, do you know what I mean? But you can, um, I suppose I'm going back to what I was saying earlier. Really, you can reduce or inflame whatever quality of the issue that you're looking at. You can literally create your own reality, can't you? You don't really necessarily have to go with the mass view. That kind of makes sense.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of to a point, I guess. Like with convention, it kind of. Uh, one of the aspects of a conventional truth is that it's kind of commonly accepted. So that wouldn't necessarily mean like, yeah, there's like a mass craze where everybody believes that murdering is great or whatever. And so that becomes, and then
Yeah,
not
if
necessarily.
you have problems with your eye and you see things as blue or pink, even in conventional reality, that's not true because you have a defect in your eye.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, Lou brought up like if you have a defect in your eye vision, like, and it causes you to see blue as pink, but everybody else sees blue, the pink appearance you have is not a conventional truth because
Yeah,
there's like a commonly agreed upon label or whatever.
yeah.
Were you saying something else, though?
I think I was probably being a bit more subtle. I don't know, like say the masses would like red and say that's the best red. Well, I could say, well, no, this is the best red. So it's still red, but the kind of view on it is different. You know what I mean? Bit more subtle. Something like that.
Which one's the best? Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, objectively the best. Is that a thing? Is there something that's objectively the best? Yeah, maybe. Maybe in some instances.
Maybe I'm just defending my delusions.
What's that?
Maybe I'm just defending my delusions upon delusions upon delusions.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I guess in philosophy, I wouldn't. I don't know. Like you said, that's so bizarre. I tried. I ticked another box to see if it works, but it's so weird. Um, yeah, I mean, it's funny with this thing. Like, it's literally I picked this one, and then somebody talks, and then you can't hear me, and then I pick the next one, and then somebody talks, and then you can't hear me, and then I pick the top one, and I pick the bottom one, and I pick the top one. Don't know why it does that. Um, Yeah, I guess the point I'm saying is like, so with conventional labeling and so forth, yeah, it might not conventionally be accurate, and so I think of that, like, or it's just still merely relative. Like if I say somebody's my enemy, it causes some conditions.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things are just cultural dependent, clan dependent, group dependent, political belief dependent as to what's real and what's not. I was just trying to think of things that weren't culturally dependent, like up and down and left and right. They may call them different names, but they're still universals, I guess.
Yeah, so our value.
And things like that, they're so dependent upon the individual.
Yeah, so were you able to hear, Rue? No. He was saying, like there's cultural like cultural values are dependent.
Exactly.
Group values are dependent. Political groups. What's the last one you said? And then personal preference. Yeah.
Even gender identity is a cultural value.
Yeah. So not inherent. Yeah. Yeah, so that the dependent arising can be helpful to kind of cool down our attachment to, like, there's no absolute political view, there's no absolute cultural view, there's no absolute this and that. It can be very helpful just to cool down our fervor. Doesn't mean we can't engage and have conventional standpoints and work within a conventional sense and have conventional values, obviously, of course. Yeah, I guess that's a question for people. Like, how do we keep with ethics with this idea that things are just conventional? How do we establish ethics?
Just have to go back to the basics. Does it harm another person? Does it harm you? If it doesn't harm another person, it doesn't harm you, then you can trust its ethical value.
Yeah. Yeah, Kodo brought up our vows, and Lou saying, coming back to the basics, if it doesn't harm you, it doesn't harm another person, then there's some validity there. And then also, just generally speaking, like we talked about earlier, usually violence is predicated on a lack of this kind of relative, like kind of extreme aggression is usually based on kind of absolutizing certain things. Yeah, so we've kind of talked I just maybe bring in like, deity yoga a bit as well. We've been kind of talking about looking from a sutra point of view, I guess you could say. And then just because it's also common elements in our practices, how deity yoga works with kind of dependent arising and emptiness. And last night we were talking about one of the qualities of Tantra is that the basis of the deity helps us be able to hold the relative appearance of the deity and its ultimate, the emptiness of the deity simultaneously. Because the deity is made of light, they describe the deity as transparent like a rainbow. We can grasp at it. It has qualities, has shape, has color, has expression, has sound. It has these qualities, but it appears to us in the space of awareness, in the nature of light and transparency.
Another aspect of that would be you arise as a deity from emptiness, so it's essentially dependent arises as a deity.
Yeah, and then also, when we are doing self-generation of ourselves as a deity, there's that natural process. It's really beautiful. So the deity, generally in sadhana practices, deity starts outside of us. So Buddha is outside of us. The deity dissolves into us, and it dissolves, kind of heals our grasping, clinging, and we dissolve that kind of ordinary concept of self. We dissolve our personality. We dissolve all of our attachments, entanglements, relationships, projects, work. Everything just dissolves into emptiness, which is a kind of a modeling or a practice, conceptual practice of the dissolution into clear light mind. It's kind of fundamental awareness. And we acknowledge that that's our true identity, is this empty awareness, this space-like awareness. So that becomes our new kind of identity. And we hang out in that for as long as we can, or have time for, before we go to work or whatever. And then generally it's thought, then we kind of recall like our bodhicitta vows, our bodhicitta aspirations. And based on that bodhicitta, we wish to take a form that can communicate and benefit sentient beings, because clear light mind is too subtle for most beings to be able to benefit from or communicate with. So out of that emptiness of self, that wisdom in the bodhicitta, we generate ourselves as the deity. And so then we have a form, but that form is transparent. It's not graspable. It's light. It's blissful. It has qualities, but it's not graspable in a particular way. So it's like a sunshine or a rainbow again, like it's radiating color, energy, compassionate wisdom energy. But at the same time, it's not graspable. And so that's helping us kind of rectify or start to kind of bring together these kind of two aspects of our life. So it's making our relative life is this kind of Buddha compassion wisdom energy. So it's this kind of fruition of positive, our Buddha nature. So our relative life is expression of this kind of loving wisdom energy. So instead of my confusion and anxiety, I'm manifesting and radiating and sharing Manjushri's energy or Chenrezig's energy. So how maybe I should have put it, we're radiating this kind of vibration or whatever. Um, and at the same time, there's no kind of clinging to self or clinging to that expression. Um, yeah, and in the Mahayana path or the Sutrayana path, we kind of have we go and we sit down and do a meditation on emptiness, and we can bring or we cultivate doing generosity and certain ethical actions and so forth with other sentient beings, but we don't do them kind of together at one time. And coming back to earlier, like the merit accumulation or like purification, deity yoga is one of the means of kind of raising that kind of vitality of our awareness, vitality of our energy, clearing the fogginess of mind. And one of the qualities of Manjushri is to help cut through the foggy mind. And yeah. And words, when we contemplate words and through contemplation meditation, we're communicating in a certain way. And the deities because they have a form, like a human-like form, they're kind of communicating through symbols. So it's kind of touching us or in a different way than when I think about something. And the mantra is the same thing. Like the mantra, when we recite mantra, it's kind of affecting and healing our subtle nervous system, our energy body. So that helps us kind of clear away some of the stuff that blocks us from having deeper meditations on emptiness.
Well, a lot of the time, symbology bypasses language and it bypasses conception. It's just the symbols themselves bypass a lot of the everyday mind and it hits the more subtle mind in a different way than words do.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, Lou was saying symbol kind of kind of penetrates or kind of communicates to us differently than words. It bypasses, yeah.
Conceptual mind, it's a more subtle mind.
Yeah, so it bypasses our conceptual mind and helps hit the more subtle mind. Yeah. It gets us out of our heads and actually gets under. It almost like activates something in us, stirs something in us that brings out more subtler aspects.
And like you were saying with mantra, the sound, aspects of the sound bypass the conceptual mind.
Yeah, and same with mantra, aspects of the sound bypass the conceptual mind. In a way, mantra that's what it's trying to do, is trying to kind of clear away just the kind of fickle, ruminating energy of our mind and just kind of harness, like reorganize, center, and bring in, so that there's more clarity. Yeah. And mantra means mind protection. Literally, mantra means mind protection. And what it's protecting from is kind of ordinary conceptual thinking, helping us move past that. Yeah. 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 Brilliant. So I thought maybe we could do practice, a little, maybe short Manjushri practice. Get a little help from Manjushri. It's almost, I haven't really thought about it this way, but merit, you think of almost like, this is just coming up for me now, like this idea of grace, like having like some grace comes through and then like an insight dawns. Like merit has some similarity to grace. Like there's, like I'm trying so hard to get it, but then I offer service, or I do a lot of purification practice or manjushri practice, and then something like
merit and grace both moisten the ground so that things are allowed to grow out. Cracks the half surface and moistens it. Doesn't give you anything, but allows things that are there to grow out.
We need we need to get Lou a mic. He's been saying some awesome stuff. I should just use it. He was saying grace or merit kind of moistens the ground for things to ripen, more or less. Kind of like I butchered here with translation. So it's not like it. You said it's not like it makes it. It's not like it brings it, but it creates the kind of moistens the conditions for something to dawn. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and a key understanding too with deity practice is recognizing our own Buddha nature. The reason why that we can be affected and that there can be a relationship between us and Manjushri, for example, is that we have this Buddha nature. The only difference is Manjushri is the kind of, it's a ripened form of Buddha nature. It's like, it's the resultant kind of the fullness of that nature expressed. And so we're recognizing our Buddha nature to receive that kind of, to help us receive that kind of, the fullness of that. Okay, so I think just to help, we'll just do a short Manjushri practice. There's more elaborate forms. And just to help with allow it to be more meditation, I'll generally just guide the visualization, and then we can chant the mantra together. Just remembering our mind of refuge and bodhicitta. I'll just recite the 4 immeasurables as an intention. We can contemplate together. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from desire for friends and hatred for enemies. We'll spend a short time placing our awareness on the rising and falling of the breath. Just allowing the mind to quiet. And if it's helpful, you can bring part of your awareness down, part of your body, pelvic floor, the legs, feet. As you breathe, begin to connect with a sense of ground, connect with a sense of the earth below, and feel supported. And then if you like, you bring your awareness up into the trunk of the body. Begin to become aware of the sensation of feeling present in the trunk of the body as you breathe. If we can, just having a quiet, present awareness to whatever is arising or present there. Not trying to judge or change or shift anything. And if you like, you can slowly expand through the head, arms, and legs, gradually becoming aware of sensation of feeling that's throughout the body as a whole as you breathe. Sometimes they can help to kind of feel like or imagine that you're breathing in through every pore of your body. Your body is this porous, this porous quality. You can breathe in and out in the body as a whole. Then within the space of awareness, in the space before you, the level of the forehead, appears an 8-petaled white lotus. And on the lotus appears a moon disk lying flat in the nature of light. And on top of the lotus and moon disk appears a light in the shape of an egg. And inside of it is the orange letter D, which is the essence of Manjushri in the form of sound. And if you don't know what the D looks like, you just imagine an orange sphere light. And from the D, light radiates out in every direction. And from the Dharmakaya draws forth the wisdom of all the Buddhas in the form of tiny orange Manjushris, millions of tiny Manjushris. They collect back and absorb into the D. And the D transforms into light and manifests as Venerable Manjushri. Manjushri is orange in color, one face and 2 arms. His right hand brandishes a sword of wisdom. And Manjushri's heart between his thumb and ring finger, he holds the stem of a lotus flower, a cauliflower. And the cauliflower blooms next to his left ear. On top of the flower rests the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra text, in the nature of light. Manjushri sits in the full lotus posture, is adorned with precious ornaments, as well as bracelets and anklets. Dressed in garments of silk, and his hair is tied up in a top knot and moves across the shoulders. He gazes with a serene smile and sits within a mass of light radiating from his body. If the details are difficult to hold, important is to have a felt sense of the Buddha of wisdom in the space before you. And I'll read out the requests for us that we can contemplate. Manjushri, please grant us blessings to achieve extensive great wisdom that is able to understand and explain the meanings of extensive scriptures without resistance. We request that the wisdoms of hearing, understanding, and meditation may increase. Request that the wisdoms of expounding, debating, and writing may be developed. Request that the general and sublime realizations may be granted. Please grant us blessings to be quickly like you. Request that the transcendental wisdom of the simultaneously born great bliss may rise. Request that the stains of truly believing illusory thought may be purified. Request that the net of doubts that are only in the mind may be cut off. Please grant us blessings to be quickly like you. We request that the transcendental wisdom of the simultaneously born great bliss may arise. We request that the stains of truly believing illusory thought may be purified. We request that the net of doubts that are only in the mind may be cut off. Please grant us blessings to be quickly like you. We request that the transcendental wisdom of the simultaneously born great bliss may arise. We request that the stains of truly believing illusory thought may be purified. We request that the net of doubts that are only in the mind may be cut off. Please grant us blessings to be quickly like you. And then at Manjushri's heart is a moon disk. And on top of the moon disk stands the orange syllable D, or a sphere of orange light. And around the D, like a garland of orange pearls, is the mantra Om Arapatsana. Based on the requests, radiant orange liquid light must radiate and flow from Manjushri's heart. It enters through our crown, flowing through us, filling every atom and cell of our body. The great, clear, rich, powerful wisdom energy of Manjushri, helping clear fogginess of understanding, helping us be able to embody, understand, and communicate the wisdom of emptiness. And as the nectar continues to flow from Manjushri's heart and into us, we begin to hear the sound of the mantra emanating from Manjushri's heart. Om Arapatsana Di. 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 Om Arapasanade. Om Arapasanade. Om Arapasanade. You can continue chanting the mantra silently for some time, and also continuing the flow of purifying, healing, enriching nectar from our usual. Om Arapasanade. As you continue to chant the mantra, receive the nectars, and just feeling that you're receiving clear wisdom from Manjushri, profound wisdom to share and communicate Dharma. Marapasanati, Marapasanati. Om Marapasanati. Om Marapasanati. Om Marapasanati. Om Marapasanati. Om Marapasanati. Om Marapasanati. Now just rest in the space of awareness for time. Resting also in the whatever felt quality remains from the mantra. Then Manjushri comes to rest above the crown of our heads, facing the same direction as us. Melts into light, descends down to our crown. Blessing our body, speech, and mind. Manjushri's wisdom, body, speech, and mind. We can feel a sense of oneness with our mind and Manjushri's mind. The same nature of emptiness. Like a drop of water into the ocean. And we dedicate by the virtue of this practice, we quickly accomplish the powerful attainments of Manjushri. We lead all beings without exception to that supreme state. And may the supreme jewel bodhicitta, not yet grown, begin to grow. And that which has begun to grow, increase unceasingly for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Is that just called Origin Retreat? Like get from the FDMT?
Yeah, there's a booklet of that practice. It's called the short meditation on orange manjushri. I abbreviated it. It's a little bit longer. It's a little bit more, but I just left it simple. In the practice, though, the practice is set up for you to generate from the get-go. So if you haven't had an initiation to manjushri, just imagine manjushri in space. So the way it'll say, like, it'll be it's written in the first person, like I rise in manjushri form, I'm holding a sword, and so forth. You would just switch that to manjushri holds a sword. Very nice short practice. Actually, I'll show you the cover. And it's it's on the FPMT website. And there's nice elaborations. The nectar, you can imagine, it gets more elaborate where you imagine the nectar taking shape of swords and texts and little manjushris to kind of symbolize different aspects of wisdom, which can be really nice.
It felt very comfortable.
Yeah, awesome. That's the cover practice. Yeah, that's last thing I'll say. It's with manjushri. One of the qualities of manjushri is it's communicating the teachings, like understanding and communicating. And so the language in this text is extremely poetic. And some of the words, actually, the poetry of the text is quite beautiful. I thought it was an interesting connection. Yeah. Any last questions or comments before we finish up? Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. All the best.
Thank you, Justin.
Good evening.
It's wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sailor, for hosting.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here.